Welcome to the Viking Horn, official podcast of the Nottingham Vikings Ball Hockey Club. You can find out more about our club on our website and on all social media. For YouTube channel viewers, you'll see the links on screen. Anyway, let's sound the Viking Horn. Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Viking Horn podcast. We're missing a soldier today in Benny Tring, but we've got Dan and Mike with me, and we'll get through it. If I sound a little bit different, I've been a little bit ill this last week, as everyone seems to know that's here. I told them about it enough, but you know what? You've both been ringing me up, asking me or messaging me, asking how I was and things like that. So what good friends I have. How are we both doing anyway?
We were just messaging you asking if you've lost your sense of taste and whether you got a cough at all. And
funnily enough, I did actually go and have a COVID test, and
how was it?
Probably one of the most. How was it?
Yeah.
It was
intrusive.
It was worse than what I thought it would be. If I'm honest, I didn't expect it to be. I did come back negative, just so everyone knows. It was a precautionary sort of thing. But what the worst thing about it is, on the day where it was late Friday night, we did the lock-in on the Saturday night, the Halloween lock-in at GNR8. I've been a little bit rough. I felt okay then. I just a few little symptoms of feeling ill. But then that night when I got home, it was awful. Then I woke up the next day, felt terrible. And my wife Liz was checking for tonsillitis because I had a bit of a bad throat, and I couldn't get my tongue to stay down. I just didn't. I can't put up with things going down the back of my mouth, and it just weren't happening. Okay, so anyway, I've got nurses and everything in my family, and they said, look, I should go and get this checked out just as a precaution. So I booked in. And then I goes to my wife, said, you know, what do they do? Do I have to have this thing down my mouth? And she's like, no, just up your nose. So I drove off, got it in quite quick, fair play to them. And I got there and then drove around and the guy goes to me, first of all, I'm gonna have to put this thing down your mouth and we're gonna have to test for about 10 seconds in your mouth. And at this point, I'm like, oh no. This is embarrassing right now because it took about 5 goes for him to put this stick down my mouth, trying to connect with my tonsils or whatever down the back of my mouth. And each time I was like nearly being sick. And then by the end of it, this was a young lad doing it, and I felt sorry for him. And we got there in the end, and I felt small. He was having to comfort me and everything, like because of how hard I was finding it. And but then the one at the nose ain't too bad, you know. It makes you cry. But the problem was because it seemingly I was just coming out with a cold. He said, "All right, I've got to twist this round up your nose for 10 seconds." Oh. So yeah, it might make his eyes water. And bear in mind, this triggered the need to sneeze, right? And so I'm there, and then about 4 seconds in, I feel the need to sneeze. And I'm there holding it. This is ridiculously uncomfortable right now. And I got to 10, just as he got to 10, and I just let it all out. And I was like, I'm really sorry, mate. And it was like, it's okay. I got there just in time. He got his mask on, this cover on his face and everything. So it was all good. But I'll be honest, it's not an experience I'd want to do again. I'm glad I've not got COVID, but I'm glad I went and got tested out. But yeah, it's not pleasant. But yeah, I'm all right. I'm getting there still. My voice sounds a little bit different because I'm still not there yet. But yeah. Right. Let's talk a little bit of hockey to start off with. Mike, so we had George Gortsos on NHL Tonight this week talking about ball hockey, which I see in the video, and it was a bit of fresh air, to be honest, because I think we've seen on the whole in the last year or two with GB and how they've been performing, and the league's growing within the UK. And he spoke a lot about the growth of the game. He did mention how it's growing in Great Britain, which was nice to hear, as well as other countries. I just thought it was a very positive and a really, really good interview. What do you think?
Yeah, didn't Amy from Glasgow Phoenix and obviously Vikings get not a mention on there, but wasn't she in one of the video clips?
I think she may well have been. I did think I'll be honest with you, I didn't pick out any players in particular, but I did think I seen some Great Britain footage in there. Yeah, if that was Amy, then brilliant. Yeah,
but what do I think? I think it was a really, really honest, open interview. I mean, hang on, Dan's raised a hand. Have you got a specific question, Dan? Or you're just playing with some of the functions?
Oh, sorry, I was just.
I'm so used to being in a business meeting. Someone raises a hand. I'm like, a question.
All in favour?
Yeah. Right, you can put your hand
He's got my vote.
Carry on. Yeah. So, what I really liked, he was talking about the early days of ball hockey. Now, I didn't realise this, but apparently, ball hockey was full contact. Like whenever it was, probably late 80s when it really started to come to fruition. Can you imagine that game as full contact? I mean, I know it's not like ice hockey where you're going like whatever miles an hour into someone, but imagine, really going into someone and taking them off their feet. I can imagine there were some pretty major injuries in the early days.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, I'm guessing that's why they made the change. Yeah, I mean, you are playing where we play games. A lot of it's based on you've got walls, actual wall. You've not got plexiglass or anything big hits, and that can probably hurt a bit more than an ice hockey hit. You're not wearing as much padding either.
That's the thing.
That bit did interest me actually. I was surprised to hear that. I didn't know that, but I guess it'll be interesting to bring to if we try that again without as many rules in terms of hitting, let's say.
Well, what I like was I can't remember what the female presenter was. It Jamie, I think, was the female presenter, but she said, "Well, is there any fighting still that goes on in ball hockey, like ice hockey?" And he said, "Oh, only in like the top sort of levels of the sport." I was thinking, well, that's nice because obviously, we're playing in the top levels of the sport. Given there's been a few incidents.
I've seen a couple of fights ever since I've been playing. Yeah. I think I don't know if you said whether it happens in the top end of the sport now or not.
No, I think he did specifically. So yeah, it does happen, but more like in the upper levels of the sport. I was thinking, okay, that's nice to know. That we must be playing.
But no, it was great to hear, and on such a good platform as well. Open there for everyone to. It did also mention about how certain ice hockey players that played in the NHL or played NHL used ball hockey skills. And that helped them develop as players, as ice hockey players. And I do know there's been a lot of ice hockey players who have played at a very high level, who, when they've retired from ice hockey, have then played ball hockey for their respective countries. We even touched on the fact, he was asked about whether ball hockey could potentially be an Olympic sport going forward. And how great would that be? I can't see a reason why it shouldn't be. Obviously, there's a lot of things that need to happen. It would be a great thing to happen.
When you consider some of the other sports that, I'm not going to get into it and diss any other sports, but I think ball hockey's got as good a chance to get in if the organisation is there, which it is. It's pretty compelling to watch. It's pretty quick. It's pretty quick as well. I'd definitely be, I think that'd be a really good contender.
Just out of curiosity, Mike, if you had to remove 2 Olympic sports to get ball hockey in there, what 2 would you pick? Like, what 2 do you really think are a disgrace?
Oh, that judo, that's a bit rubbish.
Took the words out of my mouth.
He was thinking it. I think like the ones that are quite aesthetic ones, and I'll get shot down for this now, but I think the ones that are like really artistic, aesthetic ones that are less about endurance and pure physical, you know.
So archery.
So what are you saying, Mike?
There's no skill in archery.
Yeah, artistic something or others, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. So dressage.
Dressage.
Yeah, actually, I mean, yeah, that'd be one. Let's go dressage. Yeah, I haven't got anything against horses, but come on, we'll go dressage. And
they've probably got something against you now.
What's the one that they do in the water where it's like gymnastics in the water?
Synchronized swimming.
Yeah, that one. Gotta go. Get rid.
Yeah. That's one of the artistic ones I was thinking of, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No skill in that.
Yeah.
No. There's no skill, and you've got to give the old medal. There's the two reasons.
Yeah. There we go. Sorted. What I was going to say, Pete, about ball hockey and ice hockey. The other thing is with lockdown, you get a lot of ice hockey players that obviously haven't got access to ice. Will like practice at home and probably get a tennis ball or a proper hockey, you know, a ball hockey ball out. A lot of stick handling practice at home. So, you know, it's got a place there as well.
Yeah, and I agree. I just thought it was a refreshing interview and really good. And it's a shame Benny's not here. I was going to talk to him as he works within the Great Britain setup. We've seen that it showed the top 8 in the men's and the top women's. Great Britain, I think, was sitting 5th in the world at the women's. I was going to ask him, and well, I guess I can ask you as well, Mike. You know, realistic aim for the Great Britain setup, getting in that top 8 or so of the men's. That's got to be a realistic target for the way the game's going in this country, right?
Absolutely. I think women aren't they 5th at the moment, ranked 5th?
Yeah. They were shown as 5th in the world, on the same graphic.
Brilliant and realistic, I think. But yeah, for men's definitely.
The game has grown a tremendous amount, and I think the people we give credit for that is got to be, well, the players, more people taking part, but definitely the governing body, BHUK, and everyone involved with that. They have done a fantastic job in growing the game, especially these last few years. And let's hope that continues, and the level of the leagues in the country keep growing, and then that will obviously lead to the Great Britain team obviously climbing that ladder in the world rankings as well, and continuing to do us proud in the tournaments that they enter. I just wanted to ask you, Dan, quickly on, you know, minority sports as such. How important is it as a country regarding the governing bodies that we keep, you know, helping these sports along in growing in popularity? Because it's easy to say, but the more people that recognize these sports and that these sports are available for them to play, then the better we're going to become as a country and as individuals at these sports, which then leads to success for Great Britain on a world scale. So how important is it that we keep doing that?
Yeah, well, I've always said it. It's like, so I've been lucky enough to go and train over in Japan quite a few times, where it's like the actual origin of judo. So, and you go over to Japan and they've literally got conveyor belts of world champions. You know, they could just pick from anyone, you know, and a lot of these guys are just phenomenal athletes, you know, because they've started judo and started fighting from literally like babies, you know, and it's bred into them as such, you know, like over here where football is bred into, you know, kids at such a young age over here. It's just, you know, unfortunately you get to about 16 over here and you think you're entitled, and you know, and that's where attitude comes into it, and that's why we've not got the best football team in the world, in my opinion. But yeah, it's like, I think it is just about, especially with ball hockey, is quite a sort of up and coming sport. It's always good to, you know, get some good coverage and get some good exposure, because you know, as you say there, the more people playing the sport is going to push the quality on as well. You know, it's going to feed the quality. It's going to feed the bigger teams in the top leagues, and it's hopefully going to feed, you know, a GB team to have some success in the near future as well.
It's never been televised, has it? I mean, I know it's been on YouTube, but it's never actually made mainstream TV or something, has it?
No, and that's it. And again, you talk about steps and you know, getting this sport like recognised on the world stage. That's surely got to be something that will come before you see it on an Olympic level in some way. You know, it doesn't have to be on Sky or BT. It can be on anything. Just a bit of coverage, but it's something that I'm sure people are working hard to get to. And I'm not just ball hockey, but we talk about recognition, and a big one for me, a sport, for example, is I watch a lot of speedway, and Great Britain as a country have improved at that so much, you know, competing with the top riders. We've got a double world champion in Ty Ruffenden, and you know, he won a world title, and he wasn't even recognised as a sports personality of the year contender at the end of that year. And you sort of think, but what annoyed me the most is there was people there that hadn't actually won what they competed in, or you know, and that's one step for me, getting people recognised. You know, just because they don't play football, rugby, cricket, you know, let's get these people and the guys that are winning championships, let's get them recognised on a national basis, and then that's also leading to popularity of sports. And
you say that, Pete. I mean, you've only got to look at ice hockey, haven't you? I mean,
the Great Britain team.
Consider that GB are competing on the same stage as you know, USA and Russia and Canada and the like. I mean, you know, it's huge that we're at that level. All right, some might say we're shit, and we know we are, but you know, we're still there or thereabouts. I mean, to only lose, what was it, 4-2 to USA
phenomenal
last year.
Yeah, I took that all day. Yeah.
I mean, being there, it was just an incredible atmosphere, but it was a fantastic thing to watch as well. But yeah, I mean, there's how much coverage is there of that? Or when we beat Hungary to get through, you know, the group 1A or whatever it was. It's amazing.
It was the news. It was the little story probably at the bottom of the page on the BBC website.
It was a footnote, wasn't it? And
and it's things like that. And you talk about on the Great Britain team, but even, you know, the Panthers and Braehead, Cardiff, Sheffield in the CHL, the top like European tournament, beating teams that you'd have asked any of us a few years ago if they'd have competed, let alone beat some of these teams that they played against, and they're there beating them and being really competitive. The way that the game's gone in this country as a whole has been fantastic, and I just hope that continues on for ice hockey, ball hockey, and all these minority sports that seem to be growing really well. Let's get them some more recognition. Anyway,
I've got a question for Dan. Sorry,
right,
before you move on.
No problem.
I know, obviously, judo's your thing, but I mean, what would you say is like the purest martial art, or you know, in terms of, I don't know, maybe the most sort of skillful, or what? I mean, there was a reason you chose judo, but what's your perspective on all of the different variants of martial arts?
Well, like judo is the sort of longest running Olympic martial art as such. So that was picked for a reason. But yeah, it's hard. That's a hard one, to be honest, Mike. It's with the likes of judo recently, it has become, I know you just used the word pure there, it's become less and less pure and basically more commercialized through trying to make it more user-friendly. So there's been so many rule changes and things like that over, even since I competed in London 2012 to now. When I came back to judo 3 years ago, I was like doing things in competitions and like the referee was penalizing me, and I was a bit like, what? You know, and talking international competition here, and I actually genuinely didn't know the rules. And So it was like, you know, there has been times when they have to sort of move with the times and you know, make each sport a bit sexier, so like, you know, the crowds and stuff will take it in and, you know, find it.
Surely by dumbing judo down or making the rules a bit harsher about what you can and can't do, that takes away from the entertainment factor, doesn't it?
It actually hasn't. So what they've done is they've knocked certain sort of scores. So they used to be able to like score if you just land kind of on your side a little bit and stuff like that. Now it's all about like big throws. So you've like got to like basically throw your opponent through the floor, or you've got to strangle them and arm lock them. You know, they've made it, you know, in the past you used to have to like hold your opponent on the floor for 30 seconds, which is just so long. You know, now you've got to like submit your opponent or really sort of like, you know, put them through the floor sort of thing, as I say. So it's it has made it a bit more entertaining, and the likes of, you know, the UFC and stuff like that has dragged judo up a bit, because you're seeing things in judo now that you see in the UFC as well. So yeah, it's made it like definitely less pure, but at the same time probably more user friendly.
Yeah. All right, cheers. Sorry, Pete, you're going to move on to something.
No, that's fine. No, it's very important. That's good. It's good to hear that sort of thing. So, we mentioned before that Benny can't be with us tonight. We normally have his frothing at the mouth section. Well, today, Dan's going to take over that mantle. So, over to you, Dan. What's got you frothing at the mouth recently?
Okay, so in the last few days, I have been frothing all over the place for this one thing. Not only because I have 2 dogs, but because I have an 18-month-year-old, and just repetitively every year think this is an absolute joke, and that is fireworks.
Oh,
so my gripes against fireworks are the fact that you are literally lighting money. You go to the shops, you spend excessive amounts on fireworks, and they're not cheap. Don't know if you've been recently, but they are not cheap. And you're just shooting them up in the air. You know, I could look over my fence and enjoy next door's fireworks if I want, but they are crap. They're awful. It's like 3 seconds of bam, right, it's lit. Done. Game over. And there goes a $5. There goes a $5. You know, at least.
I remember being at a party once, and it was being put on by an individual that I know, and the last one went off. It was this event. The last one went off at the end, and I seen him, and he came over, and he was like, "That last one, £300." It was sort of said like in a proud voice, and I was like,
"No."
I feel like you know, if you've got that to. I mean, yeah, it does seem a lot of effort and money blown up in the air for an effect, which, yeah. I mean, it looks great. I believe it looks great. Is it worth the money though? I'm not convinced that is that what your gripe is, or is your gripe more about the noise?
It is the noise as well, because the dogs ate it. It woke me little boy up as well, which wasn't great. But you know, it's just at the same time, there's a couple of things. It is the money, but it's also the fact, like, say I've got all my fireworks and I've just thought, right, I'm going to treat my family to a little firework display. Let's get it out. Hang on. Why is he looking over his fence at my fireworks? How dare he? He can chip in. He can chuck me a tenner for that little bit of enjoyment he's just had.
I was actually round near my house. I went for a walk last night to go to the shop, and there was a house near me setting off some fireworks, and literally, I did look up, and literally,
how dare you?
There was literally, well, yeah, how dare I look up without a look?
You were jiving off.
But I could see all these windows open around it, and there's people who were all like gawping out at these fireworks. I was thinking, these guys are getting a free. I did actually think these guys are getting a free show here for this family's like put together. You know, if they were so close that you could have lobbed a jacket potato to them, and you know they'd gotten on the meal as well. You know, it was one of those. I did think, yeah, that's, you know, are they doing it to show off? Are they doing it for the street? I don't know, but yeah, it's, you know, people.
I think you've invented a new thing. I mean, what are these people that like to watch, kind of like the sordid thing that people voyeurs? There are firework voyeurs out there now. You've got a new thing, haven't you?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you're basically doggers. They're just doggers.
Firework doggers. Yeah,
firework doggers. They go and meet in someone's garden and just watch the fireworks go off.
Yeah,
literally.
If you have any firework doggers in your neighbourhood, report them. Take photos of them, post them on social media, and shame them.
Yeah,
I agree. I'd go with that.
Yeah,
I think the thing is as well is.
He was seen gawping around Barrow. Terrible.
Take your Catherine wheels with you. Yeah. I read today someone had put a post on one of the local groups, and they said, "Does anyone know where I can buy some sparklers?" Well, a mate of mine went back and he put, "You can't buy them any bloody where. Wait till next November the 5th." His point was that, you know, and this is my gripe, is that the fireworks started about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they've been going off in the day and the night from like 2 weeks, and they're still going.
Yeah, I'm not saying same here. Joke.
Have you November the 5th, and maybe if it doesn't fall on the weekend, maybe have on a Saturday night, because obviously it might be difficult to do it during the week. But don't do it every single night for the entire month and before.
Make them illegal. Any other side of November
5th. I'd also say there should be maybe bring the noise curfew to a bit earlier when there's fireworks. Because what is it? Is it 11 o'clock at the moment? Because normally, if you're having a party or something, it's got to be quiet by 11 o'clock.
I mean, the thing is, how would they police it though? I mean, they can't even. If there's a drone over an airport, you know, they're there and the drone's gone, and they've got no chance with a firework, have you?
No.
Fireworks just gone off in Giltbrook. Right, the police are going to descend on IKEA and other shops available. And
I was thinking
this firework off.
I was thinking this recently, though, to be honest, because this is just another thing, not really frothing at the mouth. This just point blank angered me. Is the fact that I've had to shut my business this week based on so many university towns in the country bumping up their figures for COVID. Now, isn't that funny? Because universities went back in the last sort of month or so. And who are we pointing the finger at? Not going to say the students. I'll let everyone work it out for themselves. However, I'm like, you know, walking down the street at 9 o'clock and there's bunches, 20, 30 students. I went to Birmingham to go and train last week. Outside my dorm, which is in Wolverhampton University, where I train, look out the window, 30 odd students all getting pissed up. So it's like, they're just that's just another issue that's really rattled me. And I thought about how to combat this. Now, I think you should have to pass some low-level IQ test to do this. So if you could hit sort of, 70 on the IQ test, you get issued a taser, and then you get to go around people who are social gathering and stuff like that, just whack them with a big taser net, shoot it around them. As long as you get more than 3 who aren't social distancing, it's fine, fully legal.
I would say either that, or I would also say, what about shooting fireworks into the large groups, and then they'll quickly
2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah,
there you go.
Just obviously, buggers in. Yeah. Oh, they've tried that already, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Might mean you're spending a bit of money on the fireworks, but would that counteract your last argument?
That's just a controlled explosion in my eyes.
I mean, it is a bit, the students are getting a lot of the blame here, and yes, I mean, I've been out and about and seen large quantities of these students. I'm a bit unsure on what the rule actually is, because some people have been saying, well, if they live in the same dorm or the same block of flats or whatever it is, then they're allowed to hang out with each other. Then someone else has told me, no, that's not right. They can't. They've got so I'm a bit unsure on that. But I think I don't personally blame the students. Can 18, 19, 20-year-olds be trusted to do as they're told? Would we have all done the same when we were younger? Yeah. I'm not sure.
I sympathise with them a bit as well.
It's the fact that they were allowed to go back in the first place, which is the problem.
Yeah,
for me.
And that's a decision.
Like, they should have never. And I feel sorry for them in this, because they're getting a lot of the blame now, and there's going to be a large portion of them who are doing as they're told. But if you throw thousands of students back at the university, and they've all got to live where they're living, and you know, they've all got to go shops and things like that. They're still kids, like, in a sense, you know what I mean? Can you trust every single one of them to do as they're told and to stick to these rules? They're probably as unsure of what rules they've been given as what we are in some senses. So, you know, I do have sympathy for them, but I have seen some circumstances where they are taking the pee a little bit, and they shouldn't be hanging out in those large groups. But you know, the problem has always been for me, as soon as they were allowed back, students were allowed back to universities, and in some cases, you know, even schools. For me, sometimes you're making a massive problem for this whole pandemic, and it's come to fruition.
I put this on Facebook the other day when they first announced the lockdown rules, and what I couldn't get my head around is that kids are still at school, and the whole idea is to stop the spread between families, and yet kids are going to go to school. I mean, you can't get social distancing. Sorry, you can't get kids to social distance, especially younger kids, and they're going to obviously spread it. And then what they're going to do is to take it back to their own households, and therefore you are going to still spread it from household to household. Now, I mean, that for me seems pretty obvious, and yet we don't close the schools for a full 4-week lockdown. How does that work? I get that it's frustrating where you're trying to work from home and you've got kids running about, and there's a whole raft of other issues with it. But I still understand why kids were allowed to go back to school or still at school when there's a full national lockdown.
Taser them all.
Taser them all.
Yeah, I think we've had a 10-minute frothing at the mouth session there. Haven't we?
Well and truly.
Yeah, could be the best one yet. I don't know, but anyway, right. We're going to move that on. And Mike, you have actually no idea about this, but we're going to give you a surprise interview.
There we go.
Based on your time with the Viking so far, it's got 5 or 6 questions.
There we go.
5 or 6 questions here. I'll be asking you the questions. Dan can chip in wherever he wants as well. So I'll ask you the same question as I did Joe when he was on. How did you hear about ball hockey, and what made you want to get involved in it?
All right, I'll give you the short version then. I basically injured myself. I snapped my Achilles pretty badly, had an op and feeling pretty depressed about stuff. So I wanted something to focus my mind on getting back to fitness and doing something active, because I was playing snooker before. And I thought ball hockey would be a really good idea. I got a mate of mine, through a mate of mine at work, that plays ball hockey, and he was like encouraging me to play. And I thought I'd give it a go, even though I couldn't actually walk at that point.
Oh, these Achilles injuries must be really bad. Like, I know a few people that have had them, coach included. They don't shut up about it, do they?
Oh God!
I had my Achilles injury, and
do you know the funny thing? I was looking for a club to play, and I had absolutely no idea about what clubs were in Nottingham. And actually, there's loads of clubs in Nottingham. I live in Giltbrook, Eastwood direction, and I sort of looking, and I found this club, and it came up Nottingham Vikings. I thought, they look all right. They're not too far away, Clifton, so that's okay. And it was only about 4 months later I realised that Greasy Bears are about 15 minutes walk from my house.
Oh.
It could have been that I could have ended up training with Greasy Bears.
Maybe so, yeah. But we're glad to have you there, Mike.
It was meant to be. I'm glad I went with the Vikings, yeah. So anyway,
Sorry,
that's
Dan, were you going to say something there, Dan?
Right, Mike, would you rather have hands for feet or feet for hands?
I don't know. I'd have to ask my wife.
Is she sat there next to you?
Yeah. Feet for hands or hands for feet?
Hands for feet, I think.
Hands for feet.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Handstanding all day. Good choice.
Okay. Now, Dan, I take it you've got some of these to counteract my serious question about.
That was serious, Pete.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
So next one then on the Vikings. Was it easy to get settled into life as a Viking?
Yeah, it was, to be fair. A really great bunch of lads, made me welcome. And
girls.
Well, and girls, but at the training sessions I went to initially, it was just lads. And yeah, totally. I mean, it was just easy going, good fun, bit of banter. The fact that I couldn't actually, not that I want to go on about my Achilles injury.
Oh God!
Here we go again.
But but the fact that I couldn't actually, run for the first month or two, yeah, still the sessions were good fun, and that I'm not going to go on about it anymore. Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah, right.
Mike, if you were the 8th dwarf and Snow White, what would your name be?
Sweaty.
I think that's about right. Yeah, that's a good one.
Good choice. Good choice.
I do sweat. I sweat like a mass murderer if I've been training or running or anything. So yeah, I'd be sweaty.
Describe how you felt when making your debut and wearing the Viking shirt for the first time.
Yeah, Benny actually said to me, he looked down to see if my knees were knocking, because apparently his knees were shaking the first ever time he went on a court. That's after playing ice hockey. But yeah, obviously nervous, but actually just before going on, I was pretty focused and didn't feel nervous. I just wanted to get on. But the main thing in my mind is I just didn't want to make any mistakes. And I remember talking to you in the changing room beforehand, and I think I was pretty honest with you. I said, look, I am a bit nervous. And you just said to me, don't worry about it, just enjoy yourself. But at the back of my mind, I was just thinking, like, don't fuck this up, in front of all the sort of the team. And the last thing I wanted to do was just let in a really soft goal or just make a real massive mistake. And actually, I didn't. I'm sure that's yet to come.
I think your first shift was while I was on, wasn't it? And
yeah,
I just gave you a bit of the guidance on where you need to go, which because you did look a little bit nervous from what I remember, and that's understandable. I think with all it's and but no, I thought you settled in great. To be honest with you, I remember that first shift, didn't make any mistakes. You just got on with it, and yeah. Were you worried you were going to injure your Achilles again at all?
No, I didn't think about that at all.
Right.
I didn't have any breakfast because the last thing I wanted to do was like soil myself on the court or anything, especially on how to baptize the new your new kit. But no, I didn't even think about it. I mean, in fact, by that time I'd gone through all the. You've got me talking about my Achilles again. Right, carry on. I'm not even going to talk about it. Yeah. I didn't even think about
it. Dan, we got another one from you?
Yeah, so Mike, if you had to pick one person, you're not allowed to pick yourself, who puts in the least effort on a Wednesday evening session, who would you pick?
On a Wednesday?
Yeah.
No, I can't incriminate any of my teammates. I mean, that's just not the done thing. I think all I can do is answer the question by saying there are some people that will try and just change the parameters of the session that we're actually running. So they might, interpret the rules that you set out a little bit different, or might just to challenge how you'd actually do an exercise.
Joe Straw?
Joe Straw?
Yeah. I mean, the episode with the rowing machine and the whatever exercise you have to do, that was brilliant. That can I do cumulative calories on a rowing machine and then just defeat the object really? and and the upright rower, I'm still it's froth at the mouth when I see people do the 1 foot method. You've got to have both feet on that platform, and you've got to be doing it.
Good dodge.
Yeah.
Good dodge question there, Mike. Thank you.
But the right answer, I think, came out of that as well.
Yeah,
I am a diplomat.
Obviously, being new to the game, how's the training provided by Benny working on specifics from, let's say, a basic level? How's that helped you improve as a player and adapt to different situations?
God, all these questions are like impossible to answer without upsetting or incriminating anyone, aren't they?
No, talk about your Achilles.
Yeah. No, but all joking apart, I mean, Benny's really been good, like even from the sort of technical detail of playing, and right through to more recently about position and court awareness and stuff. So I think he's given the full gamut of instruction really well, and he does do 1-to-1 sessions, which are available if you want to contact him on Facebook, and they're really, really useful for honing specific techniques. But I've also got to say that during lockdown I did do some Brett Pellini sessions as well that really focused on technique too, that could lend itself to ice hockey or ball hockey. So it's been a really good balance right the way through, and he's offered sort of support at every turn really.
So if you had to pick a full-time coach, who would you pick, Brett Pellini or Ben Tring?
Well, Brett.
You can only have one.
Brett Pellini's not a coach, is he? So it'd be Benny.
Okay.
Assistant coach. There's no.
So what you're saying is Brett Pellini's clinic has taught you nothing.
Brett Pellini's made some money whilst he won't play. He's a great player. He's one of my favourite players to watch, GB and Panthers. But he can teach you techniques, but he needs a coach to coach him about stuff, and that's where Benny comes in, because he can take that step back and see the whole picture. God, that was a good answer, wasn't it?
Good.
Is that another one I got out of?
Just about, I think. Yeah.
I'm going to retire on the question front because the rest of mine are vastly inappropriate, especially.
Ask me. You started it. We might as well.
No.
All right then.
Okay, then. So I'll go with this one. Being a veteran, it will be forgiven that fitness could be an issue for you, especially after having such a horrific injury. How has Dan and Harry and the GNR8 team helped you in that sense?
Yeah, visibly. I mean, I have lost weight, and I have definitely toned up as well. And in some senses, I can't wait until we start playing, because I want to see the difference when we start playing compared to where I was when I first started after my injury. And I think it's the focus that Dan gives as well. Shut up. It's the focus that Dan gives as well, in that what he's training us is geared specifically to our sport. So it's those short shifts, and it's those movements that are involved. Is that the right answer, Dan? I think that's really, really helping us hone our physique for the game. If I'm honest, I remember going when I played at the Fantastic Fours, I was watching some of. No, that sounds really dodgy now, but there were some of the guys in the changing room that were Czechoslovakian or some of the London guys, and they were so ripped. I mean, they looked so fit, and I mean, that does sound wrong on so many levels. And when you saw them play, I mean, they were just running all day long, and absolutely, that I sort of just thought to myself then, to become an all-round ball hockey player, you've got to have that. Those skills partnered with a level of fitness and endurance. So, I mean, that's what I've been aiming for with Dan's training.
Yeah, brilliant. So, finally, last question. So far, what would be your best ball hockey memory?
Blimey, that's a good one. Probably. Yeah, all right. First time going out on the court for Vikings, definitely. I got a couple really. One of them was up at Fantastic Fours with Walter Samets. When he scored, I got an assist and he scored one of his first goals. I said to him he was going to score as well. That was really, really good feeling. And I think just when I had one really good shift as well, where I didn't do anything wrong, and actually, did all right. So
good. But hopefully there's going to be plenty more memories for you to make.
Well, I hope so, yeah. Definitely, I hope so. I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to. That's why.
Is it a goal of your? You've not scored a goal yet, have you?
No, I played. No.
So is that a target of yours? Get that first goal. I mean, how did it feel having your name on the sheet, an assist? For a D man as well.
Yeah, I was dead chuffed. I mean, it was the first point, and absolutely happy with that. But yeah, I suppose secretly everyone wants to get that first goal, don't they? And yeah, that would be pretty amazing. I think because I've only had sort of short shifts, because Benny's used me sparingly, because obviously not experienced at all. Hopefully by the time we get back, I'll be able to play and contribute a little bit more for the team. And that, in my mind, is what my target is to be a more permanent member, having longer shifts and actually contributing more during the game, really.
Yeah, well, I think I've said it before on the podcast, actually, Mike. Seeing your development so far as an individual, as a player on the team, has been it's been a bit of a pleasure to watch, to be honest with you. And full credit goes to you in how hard you've worked, both from a hockey side of things and a fitness side of things as well, which Dan's seen as well. Just keep it up, mate. And that first goal will come, but just keep it up. You've been a fantastic addition to the team on the court and also off it as well. So it's a pleasure to have you as part of the Vikings setup and as part of this podcast.
Well, I am truly humbled. Thank you very much. That's really kind.
Thank you for answering those questions so honestly. Are you sure, Dan, you don't want to ask any of the questions you had left?
No.
I think the feet for hand one was done my head, and I just trying to think what I might do with my hands now, my feet.
Okay. So moving on then. Thanks again, Mike, for answering those questions for us. Just a little one I noticed this weekend I want to touch on before we go on to the GNR8 stuff. After Man United's game against Everton yesterday, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came out and pointed out something you hear quite a lot in football about how it felt his team had been hung out to dry a little bit by the powers that be, because they're making them play on a Wednesday night and on a Saturday morning / lunchtime, where the other teams have had to play the same, but then they've got a Sunday game, say Man City, Liverpool today. I sort of have mixed views on this, because one, I agree the FA or whoever's in charge should be. This has basically been done down to television rules. I'm certain of it, mostly. But if the other teams have had to play on a Sunday, then I'm not sure why his team are made to play on a Saturday dinner time. The FA in this country should be looking after the British teams, the English teams, in that sense. But then on the other side of it, I'm thinking, I play a game, obviously not at the highest level, but I watch the professional ice hockey players, I watch basketball, and are we right to be, as if footballers are a bit asking this question? Because ice hockey players, basketball players at a professional level, they play night in, night out at a high intensity. Granted, you have shifts. You're off the ice or court for a period of time. Not as much in terms of ice hockey as you are in basketball, so it's quicker. The game's shorter in terms of. But Dan, I'm going to come to you first on this from a fitness side of things. Are footballers right to be aggrieved about this, or do you see it as a load of rubbish and they should just get on with it?
I think they're an absolute disgrace. I think, especially when it comes to Manchester United, for start. The thing is, I'd love these guys to go and work a night shift, 5 days on the bounce, and actually see what work's about. Because I'm in a very, very privileged sort of opportunity, I suppose, where the fact that for a lot of my career in sport, I've been paid to do sport, and I appreciate that. Which I also supplement the fact that I'm not talking about hundreds of thousands here, but no chance. But you know, it's enough to sort of tip me over, pay me travel and stuff like that, and get me by like for the year in sport. However, these guys are on hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. They are not training any harder than I train. You know, I train at the highest sort of possibility I can personally train, just like I'm sure some of them guys are doing. And then at the end of the week, they showcase their skills and doing a match, which is part of their job. And they get paid massive whacks to perform at that level. Now, if they shouldn't be, you know, the manager, players, anything like that, shouldn't be moaning because, you know, we've got to play twice this week, 3 times in 8 days. It's like, it's your job. You know, it's like if you were working in Aldi and you had to do, you know, so many shifts and you had so many targets to hit and you had to scan 5 million items a bloody week, you know, you just get your head down and try and do it. You wouldn't just sit there and moan about it.
No.
I think any footballers, you know, it could be Liverpool, but most certainly Man United, they're just a disgrace. They just get a grip.
I think, you know, obviously I've been a Liverpool fan, but I've heard managers of all the teams, especially those top teams who play European football, have using the same complaint over the years, and it just does make me think, you know, are they doing a different sort of fitness? But I don't think they are really, because it's, you know, you just get on with it. Like you just touched on now, so I'm working. It's like tomorrow, this whole week, you know, I'll be up at 5 a.m. I'll go and work an 8-hour shift, and then I'm coming back, and then straight away then I'm doing on a normal night, I'm doing another 2 to 3 hours coaching at Generate. And that's, you know, if why is someone who's getting paid that amount, maybe take payment away from it, but who's doing a training session, something that they should love doing, why should they be complaining about, you know, playing a football match every twice in 4 or 5 days, when you've got people working 12, 13-hour days on a daily basis? And also, like you touched on, you're doing the training for judo, you work high intensity training. You know, you might have a judo fight where you might have a few judo fights in one day or numerous days. Ball hockey, you know, if we've got a tournament, we'll play 3 or 4 games a day, 2 days in a row, sorry. And I just think, you know, it doesn't matter if you're professional, amateur, whatever, you're still working to that full capacity of what energy you have.
And so, like, from like a physiological side of things, if you're playing for 90 minutes or you're playing for, you know, like a 5-minute fight or whatever, if you're playing at the highest intensity you can, then it doesn't matter if you're in a training session or if you're on a match day pitch. You know, there's nothing physiologically different there, maybe a bit of adrenaline. You know, so these guys, you know, are they only, you know, all they have to do is like taper down one of their training sessions and use their match as their conditioning. You know, it's like I'll have, you know, in competition 4 or 5 fights in a day. However, I'll have 6 to 8 fights, you know, every single day, Monday to Friday. So it's like, you know, I'm conditioned to be competing, where it should be the exact same in every sport. You know, you should actually do your game as your conditioning. Yeah. So there shouldn't be any difference at all. But Man United, useless.
Yeah, I think for me, I had sympathy with him from the point he made regarding, look, if I'm a manager or player for a certain team, and I've played in Europe on the Wednesday night, and then I'm playing again on Saturday lunchtime, Saturday morning, whatever, and then everyone else who played in Europe on the Tuesday or Wednesday is either playing on the Saturday evening or the Sunday afternoon. I'm maybe asking the question of why has that come apart? But for the difference in time, I don't think I'm making that big a deal of it. I think it's sort. I almost thought, are you making an excuse for your team I mean, they just won the game, and you know, I think it was all right him coming out and saying it when they won. I mean, he would have probably said the same if they'd have lost, but it didn't come across as bad because they'd won the game. But I've heard a lot of managers at the top level using it, football using it as a let's say a reason or an excuse for performance not being there. And I think he touched on injuries as well. Well, if players are getting injured, then maybe they're not doing enough of the right training in that sense. I from the experience that I've had working with Dan and what he says, that's sort of what I took from that. I just thought it was an interesting thing, and whether we agreed or disagreed with that.
I think it's a load of rubbish. That, I mean, the time difference involved. They had 2 full days to recover. Surely to go for a professional sports person that's had, like, you know, say a full 90 minutes, then has 2 days off or 2 days to recover with a bit of light training, are going to be ready to go again on the Saturday, whether it be on or evening. I think that's madness.
I mean, I think from a let's say a normal person's point of view, like myself, like I just said, this week I'll be working at getting up at 5 a.m. to start work at 6 every day. I will not feel as fresh again this week as what I did now or when I wake up on the Monday morning, because every day I'm working long hours. I enjoy it, my choice, which I'm not moaning about it. This is just just comparing it, but you know, it's not. I'm not getting a 2-day break. I'm not going to work doing a 12, 13-hour day on a Monday and then having Tuesday and Wednesday off to go and do it again on the Wednesday night or Thursday morning. And you know I'm not running around sprinting around like footballers, but you have to relate it to that sort of thing, in my opinion. You know, it all seemed a bit bizarre for me, and sort of, let's not complain about it, get on with it. You should be fit enough to put up with it.
You're just saying you're not being paid enough.
Yeah.
Say again?
You're not being paid enough. That's what you're saying.
Well, it's not just me. It's everyone. You know, there's a lot of people. You work hard. Dan works hard. You know, everyone goes to work, puts on an honest shift. They don't complain about how often they've got to work or how long they work. You do it because you have to, and that's your profession. Yeah, it was just an interesting one. I was interested to get your opinions, and there were good opinions, in my opinion, as well. Yeah, quality speech.
Diagnosis there, yeah.
So we're going to finish off then with some news from GNR8. Dan, going back to last week, we obviously did the Halloween, the special Halloween lock-in, which went down really well. Just a quick talk about that, and also how the lockdown has impacted GNR8 as a whole, and what we're doing going forward.
Yeah, so the Halloween Saturday bash went really well. It wasn't the scariest thing to happen that evening, because Boris rolled out of his coffin once again to go and deliver his speech, better late than never. And he decided to keep all the universities open, keep all the schools open, but shut everything else unless you can be a takeaway. So one thing I did pop on my story on Instagram yesterday, Greg's is still open, so don't worry, Greg's is still open.
That is a relief.
They can take our gyms, but they cannot take our pasties. That's one thing to take away from this. So big heads up for Boris for that. Anyway, on the GNR8 front, it's been difficult. It's been a couple of sleepless nights. Saturday, obviously, there was a lot of anxious members, and myself as well. I didn't know what we were stepping into, if there was any loopholes to find to try and sort of dodge and weave our way back into working with our members. They kind of made it very black and white in terms of don't open your doors. So that's what we are doing. However, we have created an amazing online platform so that we can still work with all the kids at the gym, all the adults at the gym, and all our focus groups that we work with, including the Vikings, and also doing a little bit of one-to-one training with a new client this week as well, which is quite close to home, which is our very own Benny Tring. That's probably why it's not on tonight. We had our first session today. So he threw down the gauntlet on Wednesday. He told me to put my money where my mouth is, and basically said, right, if you're such a good trainer, what can you turn me into in 12 weeks? So we had a curry, had a chat, and
it's a good start.
Sort of,
Yeah.
You know.
Who's killed Benny?
That's it. Start at the bottom. So today I dressed him with a nice heavy weights vest, took him for a run, ruined his legs on the field, did a load of squat and load of lunging, bit more jogging, and that was him. So, and he's not been seen since.
So are we presuming? We hope he's all right. But yeah,
rest in peace, Benny Tring.
But yeah, I mean, how is he feeling after it? I mean, it's.
Well, I've got plenty of. I'm going to actually make a bit of a vlog. He didn't look great on the video one, I'll be honest. I'll be sharing the vlog over the next few weeks. Benny's 12 week. He's blasting his way through Christmas. I'm going to chase him down like the big tub of lard that he is throughout the next 12 weeks. Yeah, it's just there's a really good quote that I took from Vinnie Jones, which was nothing burns calories like fear, which I'm going to install into young Benny over the next 12 weeks.
Yeah, he did speak to me about this challenge of a couple of weeks back and said that he was going to give you the challenge, and I did say to him, look, you know what you're getting yourself in for here, and he's obviously found that out today, but you know, hopefully he gets well. I'm certain he'll get the benefits out of it.
100%. You know what? And the thing is, to be fair, it's been a really good start. It's been a good first week for Benny because we've spoke every day. This is what I do with any other client as well. To be fair, you know, just check in with them every day. Check sort of food wise, give them some level of nutrition education in terms of, you know, what is good to eat, what's a better option here and there, and then sort of bringing Benny in on our online training that we're doing, which is a whole new thing to me, but you know, it's also a really good tool to give to anyone, and also, you know, having that additional one session where we touch base together face to face, you know, and just going at it from there. He'll make some really good gains. He will.
Good, yeah. Will he be joining us for any of the sessions this week?
100%. He'll be there on Wednesday.
Excellent. Good stuff. Well, thanks a lot. And like I say, you know, I think what one thing that we've got this time that we'd not got before, not regarding the lockdown and at Generate, is we've done really well to bring this solution into play quite quickly, because you did have to act quite quickly into it, where before we didn't get that opportunity, but now we've got that clientele built up, which now allows us to coach these kids and the adults involved, and it's giving people that option to keep working out under our guidance in these 4 weeks, which hopefully is just 4 weeks. Then we can all get back down to the gym working. It does seem strange, you know, that gyms have to close when you relate gyms to healthiness and well-being, but I guess we have to go with what Boris and everyone else is saying, and hopefully it does just last these 4 weeks. But Mike, Dan, that'll do us for this time, I think, and thanks a lot for joining us. It's been good fun. Hopefully next time we'll have Benny back with us. Might have one or two others with us as well. Hopefully I'd have stopped coughing and everything will be all right. I won't have another COVID test. But yeah, catch us on YouTube, Castbox, Spotify, wherever you listen or watch your podcasts. And we'll be back with you probably in a couple of weeks. Thanks a lot for watching or listening. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.